Hey y'all, Zelda here. I am here to do a little video for you. I recorded a week ahead tarot video, the pick a skull reading, and then tried to upload it yesterday. And because I recorded it on a website where it uploads it right afterwards, it just disappeared. And so it is no more. There is no week ahead tarot reading, which feels kind of in alignment with some of the energy lately. So instead of doing that setting of pulling the 3 different piles, I decided that why don't we just do one little check-in this week. And there were actually these 2 beings who, one of them was one of the piles, Danu and crystal fish. And these are counterparts, so they go together. And I wanted to, I felt guided to bring them both on, pull a couple cards, and just give like a midweek messages check-in from Spirit. As usual, I am going to start by doing a little bit of tuning in. And so if you would like to do that with me, feel free. If not, you can kind of skip ahead a little bit. It usually just takes a couple minutes. So if you would like to tune in with me, I'm going to spritz some of this Golden Sphinx, which I love to use during readings that I offer. Settling in to your body and your field, calling all of your energy and attention back to you. I call all of my energy and attention back to me now. And I also call upon my own guides, ancestors, spirit teams, and lineages, as well as the spirit teams and beneficent guides of each and every person watching this video, so that you may receive the messages that are meant for you. I also ask that each person watching this may utilize their sacred power of discernment to know which of these messages are meant for them and which they can leave behind. I welcome in and call in Danu, the river goddess, one with the crystalline river, and crystal fish who swims in her many waters, a part of her heart. Welcome. So, I didn't actually pull cards yet. Thought I would do that with us together. I think I'm going to use this Luminous tarot deck today, just to see what messages Danu and Crystal Fish would like to share with us. I'm going to start with 3 cards. We'll go from there. I'm not pulling these in any particular spread. I'm just open to the messages that Danu and Crystal Fish want to share today. So the first card that was pulled is the Hermit. Interestingly, the Hermit was also one of the cards. It was from a different deck, but it was also one of the cards pulled in the week ahead tarot reading for one of the piles. The Queen of Swords. And the King of Wands. This feels like an invitation to, I saw this kind of like sitting in the river and having everything kind of like be washed away until there's like only a very like bright essence left, and that there's this kind of like dissolution. And with this, there also I felt this light, almost like the hermit's light, almost as this light inside of my being, and that there need to be these times or these moments where we kind of like enter almost like an incubation experience, even if we're still progressing forward on our path, that there's this quality of like homecoming to the self almost, this turning inwards and like almost stoking the inner flame. I see someone like taking a ritualistic bath. Danu loves, it's not surprising for me to see this either, because Danu is a river goddess, and she helps to, if you sit in her waters, they have these like almost like mystical properties. And there's a lot of mystical traditions with water and with the elements. There's you know, everywhere from like baptizing to like cleansing to holy water, like all of these different rituals. And water is very much alive. And so there's this aspect of the hermit with like following your own inner flame by taking away all of these layers of external, like almost I see someone like taking off pieces of their armor to get into this bath, only with themselves. This isn't like throwing away the armor. Our armor is something we need if we're going into battle or if we're in a space of danger. But especially with all of the traumas that the queer community has endured with the shooting in Colorado Springs, there feels like this invitation to like come back to center and like let some of that go, and that there's this containment that the Queen of Swords is really supportive with. Like the Queen of Swords feels like this in charge of like your boundaries energy, and this like cognitive assertiveness and ability to like express your needs, to express your wants, to express or to like access the container that you are needing right now. And so that actually feels like part of like, maybe it's not a bath for you, but like that does feel like an invitation of like creating a container where you can actually like take off some of this intensity and just being with your inner light, because that inner light is what guides the next step of the path, even if you can't see the destination. It's part of being able to almost picture the destination in your own heart, to be with yourself in that way. So that's one of the practices that feels invited. As these other parts are coming away, Danu is showing me this kind of like reformation of the body that happens after, that almost like if you can envision like a body sitting in water, underwater, not needing to breathe, and that the water is kind of like moving through the outline of the body and like filtering away all of these like bits and like clumps and like loosening tangles, and that the outline of the body kind of like gets cleared out, and then the light expands to fill up, and then I see it kind of like radiating out and actually filling up and like recharging the water. With the King of Wands, this is fire and fire energy. This feels very like dragon, like very embodied, passionate leadership. This feels like once that light kind of radiates out and is renourished, that there's this sense of like really knowing what needs to happen after that. And so there almost feels like there's this arc of like being invited into like almost like a bit of a gestational period, and then having that kind of like click into place in terms of what maybe you're wanting to do or what feels like passionately aligned for you. Crystal fish swims in Danu's waters, and their form is created. They're a part of Danu's waters. And so kind of like I said, that like the body kind of like reforms and like dissolves. That is like a quality of engaging with yourself as an extension of spirit in this way, that like you are the form that spirit has chosen. There's many, like I didn't just invent that. This is just kind of what I'm drawing from for this. That is an aspect of like a form that spirit is taking, and that you can also then like access and shift your form. And so I see that like crystal fish kind of like changing shape, and there does feel like this invitation to touch into like shapeshifter wisdom. The King of Wands feels like they are not afraid to take up space and to allow their form to suit their purpose, that they don't need to be only one thing. They can take up space, they can be in charge, they can be fierce, they can decide to delegate, they can take a day off. Like there's all of this range of access that they have to how they show up for their mission, because they're not proving something. They're not doing this for show. They're doing this like with the best interest in mind of where they're going, of the collective, of the nurturing that passion, that purpose that is of service to self and other. And so it feels really fluid in that way. I'm feeling a lot of tension in my like third eye, this like pressure that feels like I almost like I wanted to push my head up into it, but the other way that I could have gone is like to kind of like collapse inward. And there feels like this invitation, especially with like the Queen of Swords, the King of Wands, like all of this, as well as like the image and the sensations that Danu and Crystal Fish are offering, is feeling like lean into that tension and like lean into like your sense of like your hard head, in terms of like your ability to kind of like hold and orient towards something with like firmness and strength. And that is really key and important, rather than like collapsing inward or letting something kind of like curl you up like a roly-poly. This is an invitation to actually like hold your integrity and move one step at a time. This also feels like looking inwards for your own meter of progress and growth, not taking that on around you, not like checking off a map. The Hermit needs to go and use the like full spectrum of their capacity to take one step at a time and move towards their progress. not kind of like saying, oh, I didn't get far enough on my map, so this day wasn't good enough. Danu says that these containers of cleansing are so important because there are forces in the world that thrive. Okay, the words that she's saying is they're hungry for fear. They're hungry for the way that fear can corral us into certain actions. And there's this active quality or property of allowing yourself to have containers where that is cleansed from your experience, so that you are left with this really integritous, strong, alive, embodied leadership where you can act from a place of integrity, and that is also a structure that can sustain even like a deluge of immense power, that like you will be able to stand behind that and withstand like a storm even. Finding containers to remember your wholeness. I think that is it today. So we'll see if this works to post and how the quality and the audio even is. This is my first time experimenting in this new structure. So let me know if it works for you. It's a little different than it was before, but I hope that it works. And hopefully it won't go poof into the universe. Thank you so much to Danu and Crystalfish for sharing their wisdom with us today. I am so grateful. And I hope to see you next week for the Week Ahead Tarot.